And after too long a break, we are back to Minotaur Hotel. Yeah, I didn't plan on taking that long a break, just trying to get everything else, and this one fell by the wayside a bit. And by the way, if you're watching this, there is a new build coming out on the 14th of November, which we'll also be playing, but we need to catch up on things first. And we left it at the start of Chapter 8. After Asterion served you breakfast, you decided to stay in your quarters for the morning. Things that are alien to you are beginning to become familiar. The hotel that bends to your will, the Minotaur sworn to serve you, treacherous snake monsters, and the Japanese dragon that's now running a high-end restaurant under your roof. You're slowly getting used to both your new circumstances and this new routine. Waking up, having breakfast with Asterion, inspecting the rooms, seeing the small changes in the hotel's condition and layout every day, having a drink and a talk at the end of the day. You once again look out the window in the master's quarters. Considering your phone is pretty much dead at this point and collecting your thoughts gets a little dull after a while, you find yourself doing this frequently when Asterion isn't in the room with you. With new guests coming in, dull moments like this are going to become less frequent. But for now, you can enjoy this moment of meditation and the warmth of your efforts bearing fruit. Something catches your attention. Something in the distance. You squint and focus your eyes on the small red spot that must be several miles away. The shimmer produced by the heat on the road makes it very difficult to make out any details. One thing's for sure, it's headed this way. Maybe it's a guest? You haven't seen any activity on this road since you first came, other than Kota walking over here. At least this time it seems like the guy is driving a car. The car approaches the hotel. It swerves into the parking lot, making a loud screeching noise you can hear from your room. Whoever this guy is, he's either a terrible driver, a bad show-off, or driving under the influence. You see him step out and waltz into the main entrance. Whoever this guy is, he's piqued your curiosity. You rise to your feet, stretch your legs and head out the door. As you walk out to the master's quarters, the lights blink and you hear the familiar sound of the walls of the hotel closing behind you to conceal your room. You're about to walk down to the lobby when you see something one floor below you. It's Kota. It seems like he just left his room and is about to head downstairs as well. However, his clothes are different from the yukata he was wearing yesterday. Today Kota is wearing a formal but definitely more Western outfit. He's dressed like an elegant barman. Good morning, Leo. It's good to see you again. I see you're taking this restaurant thing seriously. You know what they say, dress for the job you want. I guess so. Again, thank you very much for your hospitality. I don't want to be a burden to anyone, so I'll gladly take over any duty I can as a gesture of goodwill. Kota bows in your direction. I was on my way to the lounge, in fact, or perhaps I should say the restaurant, to see if everything is in order in case we get new guests. May I know where you're headed? I was on my way to the lobby. Great then, we can go together. You and Kota both walk down the stairs, heading in the same direction. I hope that you have an enjoyable stay with us. You and Kota make it all the way to reception. Standing there are Asterion and what seems to be a bald eagle griffin dressed very informally. The griffin eyes Kota up and down and is licking his beak in anticipation. Some deep, instinctual part of you sees the look on the new guest's face, catches on to what's about to happen and screams at you to intervene. But, like watching a train crash in slow motion, all you can do is stand there as the griffin perks up and grins. Well, what do we have here? Not one, not two, but three hot guys all alone in a giant hotel in the middle of nowhere? I must have died and gone to heaven. The griffin's gaze slides like a groping hand up and down your body, and then flicks away to focus on Kota. For a moment you aren't sure whether to feel relieved that he isn't addressing you with his eyes anymore, or just a little bit insulted at being dismissed without a second thought. "The name's Luke. I just got actually a long, hard, lonely drive. And you are?" "A mighty fine piece of man. What say you help me with my bags, and when we get to my room I'll help you with your bag." "I beg your pardon?" The sound of Asterion's hooves clopping on the floor as he rushes over draws Luke's attention back to the Minotaur. Kota seems grateful for the distraction and shifts over to your other side, away from the new guest. "Mr. Walker, please allow me to introduce Mr. Kota, the proprietor of the hotel lounge, and of course the master and owner of our establishment, Master Leo." "Master, huh?" He looks from you to Asterion and back again with a widening smirk. His tail quivers behind as if electrified. The dragon tries to keep up a polite smile in the face of the griffin's enthusiasm, but you can see how strained the expression is by the way his brow and the corners of his lips twitch. "And you're the guy in charge of the lounge, huh? Nice. Been needing a place to put my feet up for a spell, something fierce. And if I get served by an absolute snack like you, all the better. So, where's the lounge at? What kind of drinks you got? And most importantly, are you single?" Well. Kota glances over, his eyes begging for your Asterion to rescue him from Luke's lascivious interest. After a long, uncomfortable moment, the griffin bursts out in shrieking laughter and claps Kota on the back. "Hey, relax, Blue Boy, I'm just teasing. Mostly. I'm awful sorry, I got a tendency to come on strong and put my foot in my mouth. I can take a hint when a guy ain't interested." He gives Kota a pat on the shoulder, then looks over to you and Asterion. "That goes to you all too. If I step over the line, feel free to tell me to shut the fuck up, alright?" "As you say, Mr. Walker." "Hey, it's fine. You're still welcome to stay as long as you like." "Indeed." The dragon gives you another look. You can tell that Kota has something he wants to say, and by the way he's glancing at the griffin, who still has an arm around his shoulders in an over-familiar gesture, he wants to say it without Luke overhearing. "Hey, Asterion, do you mind showing Luke to his room?" "Very well, Master Leo." No, you don't need to do that. I can find my own way around. And I was just joking about that helping me with my bags thing earlier. I got some stuff in the car, but I can get it myself." "Nonsense, Mr. Walker. As keeper of the hotel, it's my duty to serve the guests in any capacity that I am able." "Come on, Angus, you're handing me these jokes on a silver platter. And hell, I ain't one to turn to the hell of a beefcake like you. Alright, let's go then." The Minotaur and Griffin make their way to the front door of the hotel, Luke sauntering along as Asterion clops behind him. Asterion turns to give you a look right before following Luke out into the hotel courtyard, and you give him an apologetic grimace in return. Silently, you promise to come up with some way to make it up to him. "So, what's up?" As soon as the front door clicks shut behind the new guest and Asterion, the dragon's polite mask falls off to reveal a frown of contempt. He brushes at the place Luke touched him, as though trying to keep something foul from staining his clothing, and then turns to you. "If you will allow me to speak my mind, is that truly the kind of clientele you want to allow into the hotel?" "What do you mean?" Kota gestures to the front doors, as though the source of his ire should be obvious. "That sort of rude, shameless, utterly disrespectful person. I shudder to think of him putting on that sort of display around any other guests that may come in. It would drive anyone with a sense of decency away." "Oh, come on, he doesn't seem that bad." One of the dragon's brows arches up high, almost touching the edge of his pulled-back mane. Then Kota lets out a long, bone-deep sigh. "I've dealt with more than my fair share of clients like that during my bartending days. And yes, Leo, they are that bad. All they do is poison the atmosphere and ruin the enjoyment of the other guests. Better to turn them away at the door than to allow them to make a scene. Or worse. I'm not saying this as an employee, but as a friend who wishes the best for you, Asterion, and the hotel. If you let a disgrace like that hang around, he's only going to cause trouble." "Well, gee, Blue Boy, tell us how you really feel." It seems that Asterion and Luke made their way back inside while you and Kota were talking. By the scar on the griffin's face, he overheard pretty much everything the dragon just said. Luke stands out with his arms crossed, looking from Kota to you and back again as he taps a foot. The neutral mask clips back onto the dragon's face as he turns to give the new guest a low bow. Mr. Walker, I sincerely apologise if you overheard anything that... The abrupt change in the dragon's demeanour only seems to piss Luke off more. He storms over with a squawk of annoyance, cutting Kota off. No, don't you go back to that yes sir, Mr. Walker bullshit. Come on, you got something to say, then say it to my face. You want to talk about a disgrace? How about a gal smile in your face and go around talking shit behind your back? If you had any kind of respect, you wouldn't pussyfoot around. Respect? The dragon bursts into loud sneer and laughter and then draws himself up to meet Luke's glare with one of his own. Very well, if you will allow me to speak my mind, I have absolutely nothing to say to someone like you. Someone like me, huh? Luke pushes in closer, his beak snapping in anger as he glowers at the dragon. You're a real fucking asshole, you know that? And you, Mr. Walker, are a crude, disgraceful lech. As Kota pushes Luke away, the griffin's clawed hands ball into fists at his sides. Before Luke can do something he'll regret, you push yourself in between the two of them. That's enough out of both of you. Kota, we can handle this. Go and start getting the restaurant ready for any of the guests that might come in today. And Mr. Walker, Luke, you need to calm down. I sincerely apologise that this is the first impression you get of our hotel. You're still welcome to stay. Our mission is to give anyone who needs it a place to stay for a while, and we don't turn anyone away. If you drop the attitude and the Casanova act, Asterion and I would be happy to make all this up to you. Not like that. Fine, I'm sorry to you and Angus for causing trouble. He casts a petulant glare in Kota's direction. Then Luke makes his way back over to Asterion to take the large, worn duffel bag in the Minotaur's arms and sling it over his shoulder. Now I'll piss off to my room and get out of your hair, alright? The griffin guest doesn't spare Kota a single glance as he stomps down the hallway towards the guest rooms. Once more the dragon brushes himself off and turns to you and Asterion. Do you see what I mean? Oh, I'm shocked that you allowed him to stay after that. Yeah, he's a little much. Just don't let him get under your skin, alright? I must admit, I had my reservations about Mr. Walker as well. However, I do not think he's malicious. He is, much as you say, Master Leo. But the hotel has had its fair share of eccentrics over the years. On your own head be it when he burns the place down, then. The dragon lets out a huff of annoyance, then gives you an Asterion a shallow bow. I apologise for speaking out of turn. If you'll excuse me, I'll go to the restaurant to prepare it for any of the guests we may receive. Though, to be frank, I don't see a single feather of that man's anywhere near there. Kota turns on his heel and stalks away towards the restaurant, still muttering under his breath. Oh, I'd put up a no shirt, no shoes, no service sign as he'd take his clothes off and parade around in his underwear. Heavens, can you imagine? For better or worse, it's over. For the time being, at least. A sigh forces its way out of your chest. What a start to your venture in the hospitality industry. One would be forgiven if such a confrontation left them on edge. But for someone like Asterion, after all he's been through, what impact could it have? You turn to him. Asterion, sorry, I wasn't expecting things to take such a turn for the worse. Are you okay? The Minotaur looks down to the floor. His eyes dart to and fro as 100 ideas skitter around his mind. Air hisses as he inhales through gritted teeth. With each exhale, his nostrils flare and tremble. You get a brief glimpse into Asterion's eyes before they close. What memories, what emotions are going through his head at this moment? And his lips tense, but not in the way expected. At first you have to strain your hearing to catch it. An occasional tittering here and there like a harp string sweetly plucked. All at once the strings snap, and in a burst Asterion's laughter spreads down the hotel's hallways and all the way down to the valley. He jerks to cover his mouth with a hand, and in doing so he pushes pens and pencils off the desk. The gesture, however, only serves to highlight the corners of his mouth. Try as he might, they disobey him and raise themselves into a smile, and his single eye, not to be left behind, closes in joy. He rides out waves, from a stealthy giggle to a backbending uproarious bellow. He hunches over the desk to catch his breath, and even between laboured sobs he keeps on smiling. He looks up at you through bleary eyes, streaked with shining tears. It takes him a dozen tries before he manages to spit out a coherent sentence. Me, I haven't felt this good in 100 years. This is good, my lord. This is what life is made of. I'm alive again. Behind you, the door lets out a click no louder than a squeak. You turn around and find yourself facing a couple, just as they drop a pair of tall backpacks on the floor. The two stop dead in their tracks as they catch sight of the Minotaur behind the counter, even in an outburst of hysterical laughter. And in that earth-shattering moment, their minds run wild. A hotel in the middle of a lifeless desert, seemingly abandoned, but housing nothing less than the Minotaur. A laughing bullman, in fact, whose boisterous bellow sounds too song-like to impose terror. Asterion catches sight of the couple from the corner of his eye, but does nothing to stop him. And in fact, the presence of an audience only seems to amplify his mirth. It does not last more than a handful of seconds, even if it feels like an eternity. For laughter to overtake fear and apprehension, for it to bridge the gap between the mundane world outside and the haunting hotel. First, the lady approaches, and then the man follows as the pair make their way up to the reception desk. They look at you, then at the Minotaur, then back to you. Excuse me, but what is this place? It's a hotel. The large, sharp eyes lock onto the incapacitated Minotaur as he finally regains a semblance of composure. Yes, but what's up with him? Asterion supported himself against the wall, breathing slow and deep to steady himself as the aftershocks of laughter rocked through him. It's a very special day for him. He hasn't had guests in quite a while, and right before you arrived we had quite a commotion. No, I mean, what is he? Well, he's... Small is the gap that keeps mankind away from all sorts of earth-shattering truths. All humans, when given the opportunity to glimpse a secret, can choose to turn back and return whence they came. Forget what was beyond that sliver no wider than a door's breadth. But laughter, that essentially human song, beckons. This is Master Leo, and my name is Asterion. Here's your room key. Dinner will be served at 7 p.m. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Chapter 9. Dinner at the Lounge. 9 guests have settled in by the end of the day. The hitchhiking couple, they'd been backpacking through Eastern Europe before being pulled into the hotel, who will stay a day or two before proceeding with the journey. A duo of blue-collar workers from South America, who seem to have stumbled on a roadblock on their work trip and are now waiting a few days for supplies to arrive. A gang of 4 college-age students from the Middle East, whose car broke down in the middle of nowhere. Being pulled into the hotel spared them from a night shivering in the cold. And Kota, that very proper dragon. Kota's demeanour in the kitchen is as prim and professional as anywhere else. Before he begins, he walks from table to table, introducing himself as their server and giving a polite half-bow when he departs. At moments like this, the strength of his reliance upon rigid social norms is made clear. He treats the lounge like a restaurant, asking if the guests have food allergies and trying to adjust things accordingly so as to satisfy the greatest number of people with a single meal. The Blue Dragon also feels the need to run his choice by you and Asterion before he gets cooking. Looks like miso soup is what's on the menu. With the grace of a mountain stream, Kota gathers his ingredients and sets to work, focused and precise. He starts on the stock first, placing a few different items in the pot and letting their flavour leach into the water. You can make out seaweed of some sort going in first as the water heats up above a medium flame, but it is strained out before the liquid comes to a boil. Once the broth starts roiling, it adds some kind of flaky material whose nature is harder to discern, but when the scent of fish begins to perfume the air, you feel you've got a good idea what it was. Reducing the heat and removing what remains of the fish flakes, he throws in a couple of key additions: a finely chopped green onion, shredded carrot, and small cubes of tofu. To finish, Kota squeezes a glob of off-white paste into the ladle and mixes it until it's dissolved. The whole process takes about 20 minutes. The dragon pulls it off with flying colours, quickly summoning a set of lacquer bowls and chopsticks with which to serve the soup. You watch them from a table a few metres away from the bar. Tonight's meal is simple. Such a large hotel would be deemed underwhelming. With everyone huddled together, it's like being in a polite family dinner where no relative makes a fool out of himself. Even once the soup is done and everyone has been served, Kota doesn't seem to be content to relax. No sooner does the last guest take their lacquer bowl than the dragon heads back to the kitchen to make more. When you press him for details, he mentions that miso soup is often considered a side dish rather than a standalone meal in Japanese cuisine, and is usually served with at least 3 other foods and a bowl of rice. However, most of the other dishes are simple to make and soon join the soup on the table: brown rice, cucumber salad, grilled mackerel and fried chicken. Likewise, the rice is the only thing left plain. The salad is garnished with sesame seeds and a homemade soy sauce vinaigrette. The mackerel is accompanied by shredded daikon radish. Even the chicken has freshly made tartar sauce drizzles on. Kota appears to have made a veritable feast. Though, as he asserts with a humble bow that this is all he could do with an hour's prep time, you tell him it's more than enough. The guests seem to be wholeheartedly happy with the spread before them, but things hit a snag once all the food is on the table. Kota can only look on in mounting disapproval at the abhorrent lack of table manners, and his wide smile soon becomes strained in the same manner it did when he and Luke butted heads earlier in the day. More than a few guests struggle with the use of chopsticks, and the dragon is more than happy to give his wayward charges a helping hand. Though he does not stop his lessons in the proper etiquette even once they've all grasped the basics. Even Asterion frustrates Kota in this manner, however innocently. The dragon lets out a sigh upon seeing the Minotaur's hands lacked the dexterity to use chopsticks, and continues buzzing about the dining room to lecture the less hopeless cases undeterred. When he comes to Greta's table, Ismail catches the worst of it for teaching the others wrong. His attempts to imitate Japanese culture are all based on anime that he's seen, and as a result it backfires spectacularly when faced with the dragon's scrutiny. Sir, please, do not bring the rice so close to your face. The bowl is to be held in front of your chest to catch rice which falls from your mouth. To do otherwise would be most unbecoming. No, not like that. 4 fingers support the underside of the bowl while the thumb rests on the side. Your other hand is for the chopsticks. It is acceptable to slurp your soup, but please do not belch in the other diners' faces. When the Frenchman reaches the soy sauce and brings it to his rice, Kota can only point an accusatory hand at him and whisper, "Don't you dare," before he departs and begins to collect dishes from the speedier eaters. Despite the formal atmosphere conveyed by Kota's meticulous decoration, the guests speak with hushed excitement. They move the restaurant tables and chairs around to accommodate for larger groups if necessary, and sitting beside whoever they mesh with the best. Laughter skitters around, whispers and chit-chat hum and drown out the kitchen's noise. They exchange stories of their travels and how they found themselves here in the first place. For every few minutes you hear whispers about the Minotaur, the dragon and the griffin. Some guests were more apprehensive than others when they arrived. Seeing the Minotaur as a receptionist was a shock, but Asterion revealed a charisma and levity that captivated their curiosity. At a glance he knew how to best address each guest. Some required reassurance, others did not think twice before stepping in and asking for a room. At times he even joked around about his own bullish appearance to break the ice. In turn, the guests' indiscreet glances and hushed whispers didn't even make Asterion flinch, as if he did not notice them at all. But now, over dinner, the guests talk amongst themselves. It does not cross their mind how peculiar it is they all speak the same language in this hotel in the middle of nowhere. Though none of them approach to offer you a word of thanks, the guests' high spirits are compliment enough, a testament to your hard work in refurbishing the hotel with Asterion. Yet, From just out of sight you hear the clanging of washing dishes. So far the Minotaur has spent the entire dinner hidden away in the kitchen. You still remember his laughter from this morning. Asterion hadn't been this lively before. Meeting the guests was a more joyful occasion than leaving the cold room by far. You can't avoid him hiding away in the back rooms while everyone's having fun. And so you make your way into the kitchen. Since Asterion's been cooking your meals the last few days, you had no reason to return to the kitchen since you first arrived at the hotel. Tonight you find it looks nothing like what you first encountered. The silence, horrible stench, strewn utensils, stains of food that decomposed decades ago, and of course the revolver sitting on the counter have all been replaced. Now clean stainless steel equipment, the sounds of Kota washing dishes, and the scent of the delicious food he had cooked filled the room. Must be the hearth's handiwork, you think to yourself. But would the hearth alone have brought all these people together? You rejoice in a small moment of pride, seeing and smelling what you've achieved. The Minotaur and the manager are chatting while cleaning the dishes. They don't hear your approaching footsteps. Kota veers on a short rant about what happened earlier in the morning, but Asterion changes the subject before picking up a pile of clean dishes. On the way to the cupboard, he briefly passes by the door to the cold room. He freezes, shudders, and lets out a nervous cough. After stashing the dishes, Asterion turns around. Only then does he notice your presence. Asterion?
Yes?
Would you like to spend a few minutes with the guests? You've been here all night.
Oh, you should not worry about me. It is fine. The guest's comfort comes first. This is my duty, after all.
But everyone's had their meal already. They're just chatting now. You could sit back and enjoy the company for a while. The Minotaur paces around and over your shoulder, getting a glimpse of all the commotion in the other room. His ear flicks to catch their voices. He bites his lower lip to contain a smile.
You are kind, but I shouldn't leave Kota here to wash the dishes by himself.
Kota huffs at the remark. I see. In that case, excuse me, Kota. Do you mind if I steal Asterion from you for a few minutes? I'm almost finished here and we aren't getting any more orders. Go on, Asterion, have fun.
Are you sure? I can stay a while longer. It's no trouble at all.
It will not be necessary. Come on, I'm not giving up on this one. We both know you want to go out and meet them. Don't make me order you around.
Very well. If Master insists, then regretfully I must obey. But would you allow me a few minutes to have dinner first?
You both walk away from Kota and leave him to his task. You haven't eaten? Well, that's all right. Of course you can have dinner. You could bring your food to the table and eat it with the others. It's up to you. I know you prefer eating alone, but if you take too long, the guests might return to their rooms.
No, that is quite the conundrum, Master Leo. How improper for me would it be to eat alongside others? However, it would be even more uncouth to hide away. Very well, you have persuaded me.
Excellent. Dinner it is. Now what do you say we take it one step further and have a drink? It's a special night. The hotel's reopening. Let's not mince words. When you say the occasion calls for some wine? He takes a pair of glasses from the cupboard before you finish speaking.
You'll never find me rejecting a drink. However, I will say, tonight you're revealing quite the honey tongue. It's not often I let myself be persuaded into such daunting tasks.
What can I say? I'm supposed to put you to work, right? I'm only fulfilling my duty. Asterion takes his plate and a bottle of wine.
What a pious lord. The gods will be hard-pressed to find another master as loyal as you.
With food and drink in hand, the two of you return to the lounge. Heads turn in your direction and chatter dies down as Asterion's presence makes the guests lose their train of thought. The two of you take your seats at the end of the table, close enough to be inviting to the hitchhiking couple, but not so close as to force them to talk. The Minotaur wastes no time in pouring a bountiful glass of wine, first for you and then for himself. Cheers to the hotel.
To our most magnanimous lord.
To our hard-working, unrelenting keeper.
To Emperor Leo, may his reign be everlasting.
Now you're just having fun.
Well, I might. Is that something Master disapproves of?
I wouldn't be going along with it if I did. Asterion downs his wine. His Adam's apple bobs with each of his gulps until his glass only has a transparent film of purple. He takes a good look at it and swishes the final drop of wine around before refilling it.
Am I not overstepping boundaries? Today has been such a lovely day, but I admit I've been forgetting my place.
You don't have to be so formal. It's fine. What's wrong with cracking a joke?
Perhaps there is nothing harmful, but some would say breaking hierarchy is always reprehensible. It is not often I have allowed myself to speak in such a manner with the Master. The Lord and I did not have to interact so much.
Really? With you and I sharing the same living space, I'd expect it to be quite a close relationship.
Would Master allow me to speak my mind?
You don't even have to ask.
Very well. Let us not talk about masters of old. We have a joyful night ahead of us, and I hope for many more to come. Plus, from what little I gathered, it seems the world has changed so much over the last few decades. Not only the world, people as well.
Yes, that's right. We have a lot of new technology, and maybe we, the people, have changed as well. I didn't tell you about the internet, did I?
I'm afraid you didn't. At least, I don't recognize the name.
Oh, the internet is one of the most life-changing technologies from the 20th century. It's really impressive when you think about it. You are familiar with the radio, right?
Yes. Getting it to work here was a challenge, but it was worth it. All the songs.
With the radio, you can listen to what people are sending from a distance. The internet is like that, but much more powerful. You can connect a machine to it and it allows you to receive and send information. Isn't that great?
What do you mean by information?
Well, knowledge, for example. You can send and receive messages in seconds. It's so fast. It'll take weeks for a letter to arrive at its destination, but with the internet it takes seconds. But it can do so much else. You can get books, see images, listen to songs, even watch movies in seconds. You had to wait for books to arrive at the hotel, right? With the internet you can just pick the one you want and start reading it on your machine in seconds. And unlike the radio, you can make your own stuff and send it to the web for other people to enjoy as well. Nowadays, we even have what we call 3D printers. You can, let's say, find the information for a bracelet and print it out with the machine. Say, do you like art? Did the hotel ever have some sort of museum?
Well, I'm afraid we're seldom graced with many works of art over the years. Here and there a master would favour an artist to become his patron, but that did not mean the works stayed here. They are often sold. What we do have is what guests left behind as tokens of gratitude, for the most part.
Would you say you like it? Have you had the curiosity to see what's being produced?
Well, certainly. If I'm being honest, I've always had the curiosity to know how the world outside is doing. We talked about Notre Dame, yes? I've heard so many stories about it and so many other places. If only I could see these works of art I've heard so much about for a single day.
You'll have that wish granted then. If you like art, it'll be your dream come true.
Excuse me, but what?
Yeah, you want to see how the world outside is doing, right? See art, the cities, the countries. The internet is great for that. In centuries past, the only way to witness art yourself would be travelling, either to a church or a wealthy patron's estate. So you may imagine just journeying anywhere is expensive, time-consuming and often dangerous affair. But with the internet you can see pictures, watch videos and listen to songs almost instantly. Nowadays there are museums that have the entirety of their collections available online for free. If we are connected, we're only a few minutes away from witnessing whatever work of art we want to. As you speak, you can't help but notice Asterion shifting around. His ears flicker and twitch. His gaze soon locks on you and follows the oar as if enraptured. His tail, too, flicks back and forth as if electrified. The Minotaur's mouth hangs open as he struggles for words.
That sounds delightful.
Ah, Master.
This internet thing. It sounds as if I could witness the whole world from what you are telling me.
You kinda can. To be fair, there's still a unique magic to seeing a work of art personally. Seeing a picture of a work and the real thing will always be different. The brushstrokes, for instance, that's not conveyed too well in a picture. There's a sense of awe in seeing an impressive painting yourself. Regardless, the internet has largely made culture free and openly accessible. Now, even if a painting is destroyed, let's say burned in a fire, it may still be preserved forever as information for generations to come. As well as intention as you may have been, the Minotaur seems lost in the maze of his own mind. The ideas skulking about in his head don't seem all that enjoyable. He bites his lips and swishes his tail, and from the tension in his arm you can guess he's digging his nails into his knee. Is something the matter? You seem a bit distressed. He jolts back to reality with an undignified snort, but still his lips remain sealed.
Master, it is out of place for me to make a request, but nonetheless. Would you teach me how to use this internet?
You don't have to be so serious. Of course I'll teach you, then you can see everything you want. You can see the world without leaving the hotel.
The internet does sound exciting, my lord, but how do we bring it here? How does it work?
Good question. You mentioned the hotel used to get radio signals, right? How was that accomplished back then? If you can get a radio signal here, then surely we can find a way to connect to the internet.
Oh, that. It was a challenging, although straightforward affair. We repurposed an old piece of equipment. It's an old thing, dating back to when the realm was created. The masters used it to communicate with the outside world. Before radio, it was used to send and receive letters, and before that as a dock of sorts. We have repurposed it for a number of tasks over the centuries.
Well, that's interesting. What is this machinery like? How does it work?
It's not a machine. It's more of a thing the gods left behind, perhaps not realizing how extensively it could be repurposed. If this internet is anything like the radio, then I am hopeful it can be done.
Just a few feet away from you, the Middle Eastern lads burst out in laughter. One of them shrinks back, ashamed. It would seem there is some sort of in-joke among them. Kota makes an appearance, and his large body flows around the table as he refills glasses and gathers up empty plates with a servile bow and smile. Conversation dies when the dragon goes, and then resumes in hushed, excited murmuring, at least until his hand slips and the glass falls to the floor. The horrified expression on his flushed face cuts the tension like a knife, and the guests laugh and smile and wave away the dragon's embarrassed apologies with open, easy warmth. Both you and Asterion can feel it amidst the bustle that fills the lounge, that mixture of heavy melancholy and light, fluttering hope swelling in your chests. Only now do you realise how silent the hotel had been so far. No footsteps breaking the hallway's monotony, no voices to bring new thoughts skittering to one's mind. The hotel's stagnant air made the both of you lethargic. And tonight, after 80 years of silence, that beast is vanquished. You look to Asterion, your newfound partner in crime, and his eye brims with the very same emotion. The voices, the raucous laughter and broken glass, the occasional look cast over at the Minotaur and at you. It's like a liberation. You slouch in your seat, drifting down this current of self-satisfaction while Asterion downs another glass of wine. Perhaps your smile makes you approachable. Over the next 10 minutes, 2 guests make their way over to ask a few questions and thank you for the hospitality. The same cannot be said for Asterion. As joyful as he may be, no one spares him a word, although you do catch a number of sideways glances aimed in his general direction. You try to integrate the Minotaur in the conversation, but you're met with the same walls time and time again. First, Asterion no longer displays the eloquence from earlier, and second, the guests cannot contain their stuttering around him. You scoot close to the Minotaur and attention turns away from the both of you. Sorry, is this too much for you? If you don't want to stay, it's fine.
Oh no, I am enjoying it here, I really am. Well, everyone's so lively, I miss this. It is just that so many voices at once, it is a tad confusing.
It's easier when I'm talking only with you.
But it's been a long while since I've been around so many people. Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry, none of this is your fault. Do you want to leave? The Minotaur swirls the wine in his cup, more as a distraction than in any attempt to draw out its aroma. He downs it, leans back in his chair, enjoys the spreading warmth from chest to extremities.
No, I just need a while to get used to it.
Asterion gazes at his wine glass. It's tinted purple from the last remaining drops. The Minotaur lets out a cough, clearing his throat from the burning sensation. When he looks back, he needs a second to focus on you. He moves with a languid deliberation, delighting in how tipsy he's getting. The Minotaur's relaxation, however, raises a tense silence. His eyes, drowsy as they may be, betray an intense purpose. What is Asterion thinking? The two of you remain in silence, alone in your thoughts, but not lonely. His ears flicker once, twice. They strain to drown out everything else, the laughter and chatter, dragging chairs and clinking of cutlery, and focus on you. On your breathing and whatever words you might say next. He appraises your every feature but latches onto your eyes. Your eyes. For a moment it's as if he's trying to gaze at your soul, for a smile breaks his own focus. He giggles and looks away. Is something the matter?
The silliest thought overtook me. Have you ever looked at someone, a person you know, and quite by surprise found yourself seeing them for the first time?
What a precious thing.
For a moment there it felt as if I'd only just met you, and yet you are so familiar, Leo.
Maybe you're confusing me with a guest from a long time ago.
No, that's not it. I'm sure of it.
I can't place my finger.
Perhaps not a guest. No, surely not a master. Oh, this old mind of mine.
Where is this coming from? This...
I was trying to point it out, what it is about you that's making... I thought it could be your eyes, but... No, it isn't the way you look.
But now I just...
Have you ever felt as if you had hummingbirds tickling at the back of your skull? That's what I was feeling. But now I'm just looking back, thinking of a friend here and there.
Isn't it sweet to taste old memories?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this. But remembering all my old friends, it feels as if they're all here again. It's just you and me, but I feel... Well, maybe I should be thankful for...
The conversation around you wanes and dies down. That is until you both notice the chair being dragged close to Asterion and you. Oh, hello. Sorry if I'm interrupting anything. My name's Greta. I'm from Germany and I'm very curious. I'm grateful for this, for everything, really. My boyfriend and I hadn't had a shower in a few days, let alone a good meal. The smell was becoming an issue. But you see, in a single day I learned there is such a thing as a Minotaur, and also a talking dragon, in a desert. We were in Eastern Europe and now in a desert. That's a lot to take in, and let me say, I've always been a very curious girl. So if you don't mind me asking, how does this whole thing work? Non-human beings, I mean.
Oh, we exist. Beings which aren't quite human, here and there they pop up, but they keep themselves hidden. Not the case here where their charms don't work. Their true shape is revealed.
There, you talk as if you are different from them.
In a way, yes.
The Minotaur looks down to his empty glass, then turns his gaze towards you.
Would you like some more wine?
No, I'm fine. This is a good one. I'm enjoying every sip. Greta fidgets as Asterion pours himself a tall glass of wine. What is your story then? Are you different from the others? Asterion keeps his gaze on the glass, but responds without missing a beat and with a peculiar cold intonation.
I was born here in this hotel. I chose to stay behind and care for it. But as you can see, things were not going well.
Asterion gives you a quick glance, as if asking for your permission to proceed. You remain quiet and he takes that as his cue.
I was recovering from a few grave injuries, and meanwhile the hotel fell into disrepair because the previous owner neglected it. But things have changed for the better ever since ownership passed to Master Leo. Greta looks you up and down with a gaze so sharp it almost seems threatening. Why do you call him Master? What's up with that? Asterion doesn't hesitate this time. That is how my family has always called the owner of the establishment. Our lineage has served them for a number of generations. That's why I chose to be here. This is my calling, and I'm eager to see the hotel once more bustling with life, like it used to be. So you are like a butler? Asterion nods, not bothering to look up from his wine. Have you ever thought about finding a job elsewhere? Asterion sways his head from side to side. And having kids? Do you plan on meeting a lady Minotaur and having babies? I mean, that's how it works for you, I presume. A man and a lady Minotaur. You aren't the son of a cowardly human, are you? My parents were Minotaurs. Oh, that's good to hear. How squeaky would the alternative be, yes? Now, about my other question. What about having kids yourself? Little baby moos must be so cute. Asterion doesn't bother responding. He only looks at her in between his sips. Greta bites her lip and fidgets on his seat. I'm sorry if I'm being invasive. This is very new to me. To us, I suppose. Do these questions bother you? It's only now that Asterion looks at you. His gaze holds on you for a second too long. His smile you see has a tinge of fakeness. I am used to them. Is there anything else you'd like to know? About your eye, do you need medical help? My boyfriend is a doctor. We were talking earlier this afternoon about it. Look, we know there's more going on around here than it looks. Magic or whatever you call it, but is there anything a medic could do to help? You are very kind, but I'm afraid a doctor won't be able to do much for me. I'm not exactly... Well, things function differently for me. But you don't have to worry. I'm well. It won't be long before I'm healed again. Oh, so you can grow your eye back? That's incredible. You know, it'd be great to study how you do that. Surely modern medicine would stand to gain from... I'm sorry, I guess that was too far. Pardon the curiosity, but where are you from? I'm from East Berlin. I grew up not far from where the wall stood, but I was born a few years after it fell. My boyfriend is from Dijon, France, from the place where all the colourful mustards come from. I see. And what is East Berlin like? It's pretty good nowadays. Of course, there is still a bit of a gap. It will take a while for East and West to truly equal. But it's charming, in a way. Everywhere you'll see the little Soviet stick figures on the traffic signs. It's so cute. And the nightlife is, of course, fantastic. It's Berlin, after all. At the mention of East Berlin and Soviets, Asterion's eye flicks over to you for a fraction of a second. Then it jumps over the other people around the table as he realises they're growing silent and directing their attention towards him. But we won't stay in Berlin for long. My boyfriend and I have wanted to live in England for years now, and we are trying to make that work. And we always wanted to backpack across Europe, so we figured now was a good moment. My twin sisters all did it. I've been hearing for years now how fun it was. So here we are. Now that Greta has broken the ice, people are looking, and Asterion grows stiff at the realisation. You should visit us when we settle down, or just in Berlin too. That would be great. Imagine showing everyone a real-life Minotaur. If money is a problem, there are so many excellent hostels, and you can rent a place online too if you want privacy. The Minotaur looks to you. It's no longer a stealthy sign. He goes as far as to swing his head from side to side as a call to help. You can't let him go through this. It's easy coming up with an excuse. Asterion, perhaps it's time we return to the office. We have some paperwork to go through before tomorrow, don't we? Ah, yes, the contracts. Excuse me, Miss Greta. I am afraid I must get back to work. At this hour? No, that's quite late. It's not night, Mr. Leo. You shouldn't be treating your employees like that. You could say Asterion's more of a business partner to me, actually. We're in this together, and starting a new business involves a lot of sleepless nights.
So it is with great pain that I must steal him away.
If it's for the hotel, I'm happy to work all night long.
Greta looks at you, then at the Minotaur, and then back to you. As she does, you see her smile getting wider before her lips part and an obnoxious shrill giggle erupts. The Middle Eastern students turn around, startled by the noise. Oh, I see. Then that's okay. It was nice meeting you, Mr. Asterion. I hope my questions didn't offend you.
Greta punctuates his sentence by smiling and closing both her eyes in a strange gesture.
You fail to understand this for a moment, but it seems like she's attempting to wink and failing.
Don't worry, I am used to them. I hope you have an enjoyable stay with us.
You and Asterion start rising to your feet when Greta speaks up once more. Oh, one last thing. I almost forgot. Is there Wi-Fi here? My 4G isn't working either. I don't have reception.
Wi-Fi?
Oh, that? No, not yet. I'll look into it. How, though? How can internet be brought to a magical realm that just pulls people in? Okay, so, Soviets. For starters, the Allies won World War II, but near the very end of the war, America unveiled a new type of bomb, one that's more powerful than any ever before. After the war, Russia managed to make one of their own. The catch here is that America was capitalist and the Soviet Union were communists. They started the Cold War, which wasn't a war in the strictest sense of the word. They were vying for influence among other countries while threatening each other with the bombs. They both had so many they could destroy each other at the same time. It's what people called mutually assured destruction. And this relates to Berlin because after World War II, the Soviets and Americans divided it in two, with a war between East and West. It divided families and communities for years, but it fell in the 90s along with the Soviet Union. That was a big moment for world history.
That all sounds so overwhelming. And these bombs, were they the kind that were thrown off airplanes?
At first, yes, but later they put in missiles. That's, how can I put it, a kind of unmanned plane that will explode when it hits its target. It was a very tense time for everyone, but we left it behind, for the most part.
Yes, yes.
The voices from the lounge subside as the two of you climb up the spiral staircase side by side. The air here is chilly now. A breeze from the valley passes through that narrow rocky exit far below to flow upward. It snakes through the gap in the middle of the stairs until it grazes your skin in Asterion's fur. It's not unpleasant, however. The shiver it sends up your spine makes you aware of your whole body, aware of each swaying, drunken step. Asterion sways at a similarly inebriated gait, left and right with each hoof step echoing all the way down to the valley. Without noticing it, Asterion starts humming, and your footsteps align with its rhythm. At times you even feel his tail grazing your leg. What an odd pair the two of you make. Thousands of times have the masters and their servant walked up and down these stairs, but never did they do so side by side while swaying to the same song. Generation after generation, the Minotaur has done his best to stick to the shadows. The less he was noticed, the smaller the chance a lord's ire would turn against him. But looking from afar, when one can't quite identify the features and clothing, what distinguishes a lord from his subject? Perhaps only a pair of horns and hooves, although humanity is quite pliable, is it not? How hard is it to overlook another's differences? Humans are familiar with change, quite different indeed from the gods who are said to have created them. And this servant, this prisoner, tonight a smidgen of humanity fidgets within him. Disquiet and want sizzle just underneath the surface. When Asterion speaks, his voice carries a new gravity to it.
Master, did you mean it when you said I was a business partner to you?
In your drunkenness, you answer without a second thought. Yep, you and I are in this together. Was it just my impression, or did the idea please you?
Oh, you have quite the honey tongue, that is all. How could I not smile at your words? Still, you have the silliest ideas, my lord. It is not possible that I could ever be your equal.
Even the hotel won't allow it. I will treat you as such. That's what matters.
The thought suffices, my lord. It is enough for me to know that you care.
It's just the right thing. I'm not trying to be heroic here. I'm just treating you with the respect a human deserves. And about that, I'm sorry for putting you in a tight spot tonight. I should have known it could become uncomfortable.
But I wanted it. Miss Greta was a handful, but I enjoyed spending the night with others, my lord. Eating at the table with company. That's something I missed.
Oh, so you may grace them with your presence, but you won't have a meal at the same table as I do? Asterion pauses and looks at you with a glimmer in his eye.
Is that truly something you desire? You've asked it of me a few times. Eating alongside the guests and staff was my routine, but the Lord stands above all. To share the same table with the Master, that is most unorthodox.
If it's something I truly want, would you do it?
I shall obey all your orders, my lord.
Not as a command, I mean. Would you, by your own will, choose to share your meals with me at the same table?
How can I put it? I'd be ashamed of it, shy. It may sound like such a small thing to you, but to me it's quite ingrained. Would you laugh at me if I somehow act silly?
Well, I'll try not to. No guarantees, though. What I can promise is that if I do laugh, it'll be with you and not at you. Asterion stifles a burst of laughter and attempts to feign a measure of indignation. Still, his ears and tail flick playfully.
You scoundrel.
Asterion laughs and continues climbing the stairs.
Very well, I will share a meal with you if the invitation is extended. Or breakfast?
Yes, breakfast.
The times really have changed, and humans along with them.
And it's fair that you change too. You're at least part human after all.
To call your words honeyed is an understatement, you silver-tongued man.
What, are you now turning against your master?
What is wrong with the joke,
That's the spirit. Nothing wrong with a little playing around. As we head back to Hades, we'll end this video. So we'll pick this up next time. The next video is going to be new password updates that will be coming out just about the time I'll be recording. And then I think the next one after that will be here back at the Minotaur Hotel, and we'll see what's going on. As I said, there is a new build of Minotaur Hotel coming out. There's a lot more content very soon, so once we've caught up to date with the update we're in, then it'll be time to get on to the new stuff. Oh, and hope you enjoyed this one. It's good to get back to it at last. It's been a while. Until next time, bye for now.